Hello everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the t-shirt design in Illustrator tutorial. So now we are on chapter number 7, and here I'll be showing you how you can actually design a vintage t-shirt. Okay, so I'll be showing you guys about that thing over here. So let's not waste time and let's get started on creating a vintage t-shirt design. So here, as you guys can see, I'm in the home page of the Adobe Illustrator. And now what I'm going to do is I'll come here in the new file, and from here I'll be creating a new file. Okay. But before that, I will just name this thing. Okay. So I'll just name this one as vintage t-shirt design. Okay. So I'll just name this thing, and the width is 500 pixels, the height is 600, the blade is 10 pixels, and CMYK color mode. Everything else looks good to go. And now I will just create a file over here. So as you guys can see, I do have my artboard over here, which I can use. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I will just cover this page with shape. So here I do have my rectangle tool. And what I'm going to do is I can just come here in the intersect. Okay, so I'll just come here in the intersect, and what I'm going to do is I will just make sure that I'm in the intersect again. Okay, so as you guys can see, I do have a perfect square which is aligned. So you guys can basically come down here and you guys can actually check that did you align it properly or not. Okay, so you guys can actually come here and see if you need to do any thing else. You can do it from here. Okay, so just cancel this thing. You guys can just follow the line. Okay, so if you want to bring this thing here on top, so now what I'll do is I'll just decrease the stroke. Okay, so I don't want any stroke for this one. Okay, so there is no stroke now. This one, you can see it's in a perfect line. Okay, so you guys can actually check out your corners. Now what I'll do is I will just zoom out. Okay, so I'll just zoom out over here, and now we'll start working. So here in the fill, you can see I do have a fill of white color. And what I'll do is I'll again select my selection tool, right click, and now you can just log this thing up. Okay, so I'll just log this thing up from over here as well, which you can do. So now I'll come here and I'll just take a ellipse tool. Okay, so I'll come here, take a ellipse tool. So for that, I will click on shift and I will just create a circle kind of like this. Okay, so I'll just create this circle over here and I'll just keep this thing here somewhere over here, and now I'll just fill this one with a black color. Okay, so now I will just fill this thing with a black color, and now what I'll also do is I will try to take few of the shapes. Okay, so I will just take few shapes. So now again I will come over here and I will take my rectangle tool, and what I'm going to do is I'll just create few of the rectangles somewhere down here. Okay, so here in this spot. Okay, so before that I will just try to place this kind of here in the center that you guys can see properly. And now again I'll just take my rectangle shape, and what I'm going to do is I am going to create some shapes kind of like this. Okay, so I'll just try to create some shapes over here, but what I'll do is I'll just give this thing a different color. Okay, so I'll just select this fill option over here, and now I can actually select some colors. Okay, let's see which one looks good. Okay, so let me just take this one, or something in this, or you guys can use a different color palette as well. Okay, it depends totally on you. Okay, so if I just take this color right here, and now okay, I will just take something more fuzzy. Okay, so I will just take somewhat lighter color, or a different color palette. Okay, so maybe I will come here and I can take this blue. Okay, because I'll be using for the font this color. So I do have this one over here, and what I can do is I can just duplicate this layer. Okay, so I'll just select this one. I will just move it around a little bit. Okay, so now I'll just move this one somewhere over here. And what I can do is I can just duplicate this layer using Alt. And now once you see I have clicked on Alt, I do have two cursors. Okay, so here this is how you can actually copy this thing. Okay, and again you can actually repeat the same thing. Okay, and I will just move this one kinda here in one side. Okay, so I'll just move this thing up over here. Okay, as you guys can see, I can just decrease the size if I want to. Okay, so here as you guys can see, and from this end as well, if I wanna just align this one, I can align it here as well. Okay, so it depends from here. Okay, and again, what I can do is I can just come here, select this one, and I'll just click on Alt. I'll just align this thing. Same way, I will come here and I'll just create another one. Okay, so here, as you guys can see, that what I can do is I can just take all these things out and I can just align them. Okay, so I just wanna horizontally align them here in the center. And what I want to do is, as you can see, vertical align top. And if you want to vertically align it in the center, this is how it will actually look, which I don't want right now. And what I'll do is, as this one are different things over here, what I'll do is I will come here and I will just select only these four layers. And now I can just group this thing up. Okay, so once I have grouped this thing, now if I try to change the size, I have to change the size of four of these things all together. Okay, so here, as you guys can see, I do have to do that. And again, if I want to decrease the size, then I can just decrease the size quite like this. And now if I want to move this, I can also move this just by clicking this one. Okay, so here I will just select this layer and I can just move around, and this is aligned quite well as well. Okay, so here as you guys can see, I do have this thing. Now I'll select all this layer from here. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the shape builder tool. Okay, so here I do have my shape builder tool, and what I can do is I can just delete this extra part. Okay, so all this extra part I don't want. So in that case, what you can do is, now as you guys can see, I do have a plus sign. So here I just need to click on Alt on my keyboard, and now you can see my cursor is a minus. So I can just click over here, as you guys can see, and here as well, I'll just select this and I'll just delete this thing. And what I can do is I can just select this layer again. And what I'll do is, as this one is already selected, I'll come here in the Windows option. If you don't have your pathfinders, you just need to click on Pathfinder over here. But as you guys can see, I do already have my Pathfinder panel over here. Okay, so now you guys can come here and you guys can actually merge. Okay, so you guys can actually merge over here. So now here, as you guys can see, I do have this. Again, I'll select this one. Okay, and now I will just use this divide option. Okay, so I will just divide this thing, and again this whole thing will be selected. Right click and I will just ungroup this thing up. And now here you can see, if I just select any particular part, I can just select those particular part from there. Okay, so now if I just click on delete, here you guys can see I can just delete from here, and I'll just delete this line from here. And what I can do is I can just come over here. Okay, so I can just align this one, and if I just want to select both of this, in that case what I can do is I can just come here and again come to this one, and I can just come here and divide. Okay, ungroup this one and select this thing. And now what I can do is I can just delete this part, and I will just delete this layer here as well. Okay, so I can just delete this layer. So this is how it kind of looks right now. If you want to give any other extra cuts over here, okay, so for that, again, I'll just come here and I'll just try to create a line. Okay, so I'll just try to create a path over here. Okay, so I will just try to create a path. Okay, so here, as you guys can see, I do have this path. And what I can do is I will just come here and I will just move this path right around here. So I'll just bring this thing here kind of on the top. And what I can do is again, I'll just select both of this layer. And from this layer, I'll use the divide option. And after that, here, as you guys can see, I will just ungroup this again. And now I will just only delete this part. And if I want to delete this part, I will just delete this part here as well. Okay, so I'll just select this one and I'll just do kind of like this. So here you guys can see how my logo looks right now. Okay, so as you guys can see now, what I can do is I can just come here, select any layer. Okay, so from here, if I wanna play around with the shapes and all, I can basically play around. So now again, what I'll do is I'll come here. Okay, so I'll just select this whole thing up. And now what I'll do is I'll again select my shape builder tool. And here you guys can see I will just join this lines. Okay, so I just want to add these things up right now. So here, as you guys can see now, I do have a total of 7 shapes over here. Okay, again, I'll just select my selection tool. And here, as you guys can see, I can just work around with the shapes of this thing. Okay, so here you guys can see this is basically so now again, what I'll do is I'll come here and I want to give them some bend. In that case, I'll select this, come here, select the direct selection tool. And here you guys can see if I want to give this thing a round, I can basically give these things around here as well. Okay, if I want to give any round from this side, I can actually give a round from that side as well. So now I can just come here and from here as well, I can just do it. Otherwise, I'll just come here in the corner radius option and I'll just give this thing a 6. Okay, so I'll come here again and I'll just give this thing a 6 as well. And I'll just repeat the same thing for all of this over here. Okay, so I'll just do till 6. And here also I will just do this one till 6. Okay, but I need to make sure that this ends up quite perfect. Okay, so here I will just straighten this up. Okay, and now I will just select this one and this one. Okay, so this and this. I'll just click this one. And what I can do is I just wanna bring the layer down kind of like this. Okay, so I'll just come here and again I'll just go for 0. Okay, and I'll come here and I'll go for 0 again. Okay, so just stay away from making this mistake. Okay, you need to see that those are linked or not. Okay, so I did notice that those things were quite linked, so I was not able to notice that thing. But again, what I'll do is now I'll just come here. I will select this one and I'll select this with my shift. And what I can do is now I can just bring the size down. And here as well, I'll just take this thing and again click on shift, select this one, and now bring this thing down. Okay. And click here, click on shift and now bring this thing down and click here, click on shift and now again bring this thing down over here. Okay, so I'll just come here again and click on shift, this one, and I will just decrease the size. So here there is an extra part which you just can come here and delete. So this is how it's actually going to look. Okay, And what I want to do is I just want to delete this particular part. Okay, so I will just come here and I'll delete this. And what I want to do is I want to add some different lines over here. Okay, so I want to do that kind of right here. So for that, what I'll do is I will come here and I'll just select my rectangle tool again. Otherwise, I can select my rounded rectangle tool. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just create some thin lines over here. Okay, so I'll just create some lines as you guys can see. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate this thing again. Okay, so I'll just make two lines quite like this. And what I'll do is I'll just change the color. So I'll just come here and I'll just give this thing a dark brown fill and here as well, because afterwards I will be changing only all these colors. Okay, so I'll just come here and I'll select this and I'll click on enter and I'll just go back here again. And what I can do is I can just align the path, or I can just bring this thing quite down here and move around somewhere over here. And if I want to group this thing up, I can group this thing up. I will now decrease the size quite a bit from here. Okay, so this is how you guys can actually create some lighting. Okay, so I'll just create some lighting over here, and this one kind of looks good if I wanna just put there in the middle. So this is how it basically looks right now. If I just want to decrease the gap between here, okay, I can decrease the gap somewhere from here as well. Now, what you can do is you can just come over here and you can just decrease this from here. Okay, so I will just come somewhere over here. I will just increase this part, and what I can do is I will just decrease this part from here. And what I can do is I can just increase somewhat from here. And now I will just decrease this thing. And again, I will just keep here somewhere in the middle. So this is how it actually looks right now. Okay, you guys can actually work on that. And what I want to do is I want to give this thing some different colors. Okay, before that, I will just create some text. Okay, so if you want to write text, I will just move my playboard and around. So I will just come here, and what I'll do is I'll just keep this thing kind of here in one side, and I'll come here, and again I'll select all of this. Okay, I just want to ungroup. Okay, so now I guess all this are ungrouped over here. And what I'll do is now I'll just write Khaled over here. Okay, or Brady. Okay, I can just put Brady here as well. Okay, so I will just come here, take my type tool, and what I can do is I can just start typing. Okay, so I'll just type caps Brady. Okay, Brady Tom. And what I can do is I will just come here, and now I will select this one and I'll just increase the size. So I just want to increase the size proportionally. Using my text tool again, I will select all of this and I'll just change the font over here. Okay, so here as you guys can see, I do have some nice fonts over here. And what you can do is you can just decrease the size, or if you want to decrease the size quite proportionally, you guys can actually decrease the size proportionally. And what I can do is again, I will just click on Alt and I'll just take another box somewhere over here. But what I can do is I will just change. Okay, I will just change the letters over here. And again, I will just select my selection tool and I'll just keep placing all of these things over here. Okay, so I'll just come here again, and here also I will just keep this thing. So what I'll do is I'll just come here and I will just come back down. And as I have selected the text font here, what I'll do is now I will just type what I want. Okay, so like I'll just type vintage. Okay, so I'll just type vintage over here. And again, I will just come here. Okay, and I'll just go back and I'll write 1954. And here again, I will write West London, and I'll write Derby. Okay, so I'll just write Derby over here. Okay. So now what I can do is I will just select my selection tool, and what I can do is I can just align all this thing according to myself. Okay, so I will just try to align it properly. I will select this one, and what I can do is I'll select this here. And if I want to decrease the size, I can just decrease the size from here. And again, I'll just take my selection tool and I'll just place this thing somewhere over here. And this one, again, with my selection tool, I will just place this somewhere over here. And again, I'll select my selection tool and I will just give this thing a gap. So I'll come here and I'll just place this thing accordingly. Okay, so I'll just place this thing accordingly over here. I'll just give a gap over here in the Derby. So what I can do is if I want to use some different colors, I can actually use a lot of different colors. So as if I just come to my libraries, I can basically explore a lot of colors. Okay, so here you guys can see I can just come here and I can just go back and Adobe Color 2021, and here you guys can see I do have a lot of colors. So from here maybe I will just select one color palette and I'll just use those color palette from here. Okay, so maybe I'll just come here and I'll select this color palette. So what I can do is I can just take this color, then I will come here, and as you guys can see I will just use this one. And what I can do is I will uh, select this one over here and I will take a different color. Okay, so here as you guys can see, I can take some different colors. So I'll just select this one. And now what I can do is I can just come here, select this one and all these letters as well. So you guys can just finish these things up slowly. You guys can see or just view which color looks good or goes uh, properly with which one. Okay, so I can just come here. I'll just change this one to something dark. Okay, so I'll just take this thing. Then again, I'll just follow my color palette and I'll just select this one. And now I'll just give this thing different colors. Okay, I'll come here. And what I can do is if I just want to give a yellow color, I can give this thing a yellow color. And I'll just give this both of this thing a dark color. And what I can do is I'll just come over here. And now I will just select something darker. Okay, so I'll just take something dark over here. Okay, so I'll just take this one, and for this I will take kind of blue like this. So this is how it basically looks right now. As you guys can see, this is the last result. And what I'll do is if I want to place anything more over here, for that I will come to this file option. And from that file, I will go to place. And from place, what I'm going to do is I will come here and I'll just check for the files. So I'll just come here in my downloads. And here, as you guys can see, I do have a few of these things which I want to place. So I'll just come here and I just want to place this icon over here. Okay, so I just can select this icon, and now what I can do is if I want to change the colors, okay, I can basically change the color of my icon, but I won't change the icon color over here. And what I'll do now is I will also put another file. So I'll just go to place over here again and I'll just place this icon which I have downloaded from FreePic. Okay, so I'll just select somewhere over here. I will keep this thing just beside, and this is the final result or my final design which I have just prepared. So if I just want to group this thing up, I can just group this thing up, and now I can just decrease the size of this thing. Okay, so as you guys can see, I have created this design, and now I just want to see how it actually looks. So for that, I will come here. I will go to this t-shirt or my resource file. So from here, as you guys can see, I want to take a black t-shirt. Okay, so I will just come here. Okay, I will just take this black t-shirt and now I will just create a file somewhere over here. Okay, so I will come here and as you guys can see, I do have a page. So I'll just click on shift and here you guys can see I can just increase the size. So if you want me to increase quite like this and from the sides quite like this, I can do that here as well. And now I do have my logo over here. Okay, and what I can do is I can select this one, go to arrange, and I can just bring this to front. Okay, so I can just do this thing. If I just want to ungroup, if I want to change anything, I can select this thing over here. And now I can actually put this thing yellow color. Okay, so I will just go back, come here, and if I just want to zoom in, I can zoom in here as well. So now I will just come here. If I want to change the colors, I can actually change the color of this thing if I wanna. Okay, so for that I need to mask my image. Okay, so this is how you mask your image, and from layers you guys can see. So for masking, you guys can use a color. So here, as you guys can see, I have masked this thing and I have a color over here. Now, this is easy to understand. So if you can see, I can just play with this thing around. Okay, so I can do that. And if I want to keep this here in the middle, I can just clip this thing here in the middle as well. Okay, so here, as you guys can see, if I just select this one and if I will select this layer, okay, so I'll just select this layer and what I can do is I can just lock this layer. Okay, so I will just select this one, right click. If you want to lock this up, you guys can actually lock this image here as well. But if you want to decrease the size of this from here, okay, you guys can do that as well. Okay, so I'll just decrease the size and now again with my selection tool, I will just select both of this and keep this one over here. Okay, so I will just come somewhere near here. And this is how my design basically looks. So here, as you guys can see, I do have this design. So here I will select this thing. Okay, so I will just select this up, or if I just want to zoom out, I can just zoom out. Okay, so I will just keep this thing somewhere here, take this, group this thing again, bring this here on top, and now just put this here in the center. Okay, so this is how my t-shirt design looks at the end. So hope you guys have understood this class here as well. So take care everyone and keep on practicing your t-shirt designing that you can create some stunning designs.